Hello, it's Wednesday. It's the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show. I hope you guys are well. Wherever you are watching from, do say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Where in the world are you? If you don't know who I am, my name is Kamal. I'm a former national level pharmacist turned pharmacy career change coach. And I absolutely love helping pharmacy professionals to reinvent their careers so that they can create more flexibility, more freedom, and more fulfillment in their lives. I've done many, many different things in my career, from working at national level to creating my own supplement to getting trained in holistic health and in functional medicine. And I'm really, really excited about our guest and tonight's show. She is such an incredible pharmacist who has done some absolutely amazing things with her career. And she's kind of created this amazing new path for integrative pharmacy. And I know that a lot of you guys who are watching may be interested in integrative pharmacy or holistic pharmacy. And I can't think of a better person to have this conversation with. So do join us, do join in the conversation, do put comments in the comments thread and ask us questions as well. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Swathi Varanasi. I say Varanasi, but she likes to call herself Dr. Swathi. Let's bring her up on the screen. Hi. Hi, Swati. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, really well. I'm very excited to speak to you today. Really excited to speak to you.
I'm excited to be here. I love this platform. It's such a good idea.
Yeah, I am so enjoying these conversations. I can't tell you. I get to meet amazing people like yourself and, have these conversations and share them with with as many people as we can. So we were talking about this earlier, right? We were saying how it's nice to have these conversations much more openly and, just open up the discussion, right? So let's hear about you. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? Who's Swati? And, what's your career story? Tell us.
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning. So I was someone who always knew I was interested in preventative health. I knew I was always interested in a way of looking at health in a holistic standpoint. I didn't even know that's what it was called when I initially just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so I knew that I wanted to be a part of healthcare. And so I started looking for different opportunities. And I found that a lot of the pharmacy professionals I knew of or family friends, they all did such a variety of things. And so I thought, I can pick pharmacy because they're making such an impact in all these different areas. And then I can decide what I want to do later and how preventative medicine can be a part of all of that. And so went to pharmacy school and really was looking for more of an education when it came to preventative medicine. And so it's something I started looking into myself. And the more and more I looked into it, the more excited I got. However, I didn't know anyone who was in that field as a pharmacist. I was determined to find someone, so I just started on my LinkedIn networking, which I love to talk about. We can talk about that if you want. So started looking on LinkedIn, looking on the internet, and trying to find someone who did that, someone who was in pharmacy, someone who was in integrative health or holistic medicine, and someone who was thoroughly enjoying it. So all those three. And so I found this incredible pharmacist who's now one of my mentors. And I asked if I could do one of my clinical rotations during my last year of pharmacy school with her. And so I went to pharmacy school in South Carolina. So I flew out to LA and did a rotation with her. It was an amazing experience. And it was really my first outlook in seeing in person what it would look like if I became an integrative pharmacist, or if that's something I was seriously considering, because I can speak to more of this later as well, but I never knew that this is something I could do right out of pharmacy school. I always thought I had to do a more conventional path and quote unquote save up enough money to then do something that I was really passionate about. And so when I had this opportunity and I saw wow, look at this like amazing role that she has in this interprofessional setting and the way she gets to interact with patients, but also practitioners. And just, it was such a really nice variety that I asked her, is it something you'd consider to like have an apprentice for a year? Like, what would that look like? And so we decided to start the first ever and still only residency program in the US for pharmacists that is specifically for any pharmacist interested in pursuing that unconventional path in the integrative space, in the botanical medicine space, really. And integrative health is so amazing because it's so just like widespread and encapsulating of so many different things. So inevitably, you'll likely be more like interested in one modality versus another. I feel like that's just a part of integrative medicine. But I think that integrative medicine really speaks to me because you're looking at the patient on the whole, and you're looking at all the different possibilities for health and healing. And so one question I get with frequency from other Western trained practitioners is, why do you tell your patients that drugs aren't important anymore? Or why did you go to pharmacy school if you're telling people to take herbs, kind of a thing? And I think that the Western side of medicine sees it as a very like this or that, like it's a very one way or the other. And that's one of my favorite things about integrative medicine is you get to really just look at all the options. And the other thing is you get to work with the patient as a team. So you get to see like, what do they want to achieve? What are their treatment goals? And then you get to be a part of that process and more of like a guide. So you can show them, okay, you can like potentially do this with therapeutic aromatherapy. You can potentially take these adaptogens. Maybe CBD is a good option for you. You also can look into prescription drug therapy. So it really depends the patient on what works best for them and really what they want. What I found is that for the most part, it's generally a combination of both the prescription therapies as well as the other quote unquote complementary and alternative therapies or CAM therapies that they're very well known as. So it just really depends the patient. And that's something that I find so gratifying because there's going to be always a patient that wants to do one thing versus another. Or a patient will walk in the pharmacy during my residency. So I did half of my training at an independent natural pharmacy, and then the other half at an integrative HIV clinic. And always fascinating conversations with some people who are like, I understand that I really see such a benefit with this SSRI, but what else can I do? And then there are other people that come in and say, I absolutely do not want to take this SSRI because of this specific side effect that's completely getting in the way of my quality of life. Is there something else I can do? And then that opens up the conversation for, okay, let's talk about all your other medications. And then also let's talk about, your other supplements. Let's talk about your lifestyle. Let's talk about your nutrition. And see how we can all put it together and find something that works for you. Because of course, as a pharmacist, like it's the most important to ensure that there's safety and efficacy both together. So you definitely want the benefits to outweigh the risks. And so just looking at that in every single modality. So that's a little bit about my background and my kind of like my philosophy when it comes to integrative medicine and what that looks like in my opinion. I know everyone has their own very distinct definition of integrative medicine. So I like to put that out front. And then the other thing is I found that through residency, I was very, very interested in education and the educational side. So I had a chance to be adjunct faculty at quite a few colleges of pharmacy and colleges of traditional Chinese medicine, and more recently at undergraduate universities too. And so that's something that I've been very much a part of. In addition, also the opportunity to be a part of online course creation. So I I co-wrote the first ever online course for pharmacists interested in learning more about cannabis medicine, cannabis as a medicine, the endocannabinoid system, really just the science behind all of it. And I mean, cannabis, like when it comes to the science, is so fascinating, and I just wish it was something that is taught to everyone in pharmacy school, and that'll be changing, I'm sure of it, but just not at the current moment. And so just trying to get as much involved as possible in all the different possibilities for education, because there's such a sea of misinformation on the internet. It's kind of scary sometimes, honestly, the amount of information that you can find that's just completely false. There's no citations. There's nothing evidence-based about it. It's like generally just based off of someone having an amazing experience, a terrible experience, a mediocre experience. I know a lot of integrative medicine is patient specific, but there have been things that have been studied pretty extensively. Maybe it's only animal models, maybe it's animal plus clinical studies, but there's so many different things and different ways that we can look at utilizing all these different modalities for health and healing. So just being a part of that, and something more recently I've gotten involved in is working with various brands. And so these are health food brands, these are botanical brands, these are CBD brands that are all interested in educating the consumer and educating their patients, because I mean, you can't just sell a product and expect people to buy it, right? And especially in this day and age, it's so important to know who you're buying from, what's in the product, all the different aspects of being a company or being a brand. And so I help with trying to promote that evidence-based information regarding some of the ingredients that they decide to put in their products, or any of the formulations, or why you would pick one botanical over another, and kind of those different things. So yeah, I have my hand in a lot of different things, but it's all really centered around education and really trying to debunk all of the misinformation and the myths that are amidst.
So much that you have achieved and that you are doing in this space. I mean, for someone listening who's like, I still don't understand what integrative like pharmacy is. Like, how would you describe it? You know, how would you describe integrative pharmacy?
So integrative pharmacy to me is really just looking at the combination of all the different possibilities of health and healing. So what I mean by that is looking at prescription drugs as a possibility, looking at like herbal medicine, looking at various, nutrition, lifestyle modifications, and really just centering it around what the patient wants to achieve. And so it's really just trying to figure out what is the best combination of everything together, and not making it a like one way or the other, like yes or no, and looking at how we can like integrate it all. It's really well named, just integrating it all together, in terms of integrating all the modalities and integrating what the patient's wishes are too.
Yeah, I mean, I studied functional medicine, and the principles behind that are exactly that, right? We call it different things, but it's
the root of the problem, which I love. Like exactly. That is so important.
It's getting to the root cause. It's using all of these different modalities and different, processes, like as an adjunct, I would say. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you use them as like, almost like you can use them as data, like for example, maybe incorporating pharmacogenomics or, epigenetics, right? You could do that.
So important. I cannot wait until that's a mainstay of therapy.
I know. It's really exciting.
Everyone gets their physical, and then everyone gets their pharmacogenomic testing. Like, and that should be normal, in my opinion. Yes. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have just received an epigenetic test in the post that I cannot wait to send off and find out what comes back for me on that, because, I do think that this integrative pharmacy ultimately is kind of where pharmacy has to go.
Yes.
Like overall, and, I know some pharmacists here in the UK who are doing some amazing things in this space, like they're in the functional medicine space and they're integrating that into their pharmacy models. And that's just incredible, because, it really is. I feel it's also where people themselves want to go. Do you know what I mean? Like when I look at my own self, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to incorporate lifestyle medicine into my life, right? And to improve my own health. And that's exactly what I did. And I think that's what most people, or a lot of people now are wanting. There's obviously going to be those, as you mentioned, those patients who are going to come in and say, I want the drug, give me the drug, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There always are. But I think there's a growing number of people who, of the public that we serve every single day, who really want something that is more holistic and that is more tailored to them, right?
And I think that a lot of the patients that are very hesitant or just uninterested in something holistic is literally just like a lack of education.
Yeah.
Like if we can promote that, like really evidence-based level of education and really make that accessible and digestible to like any patient and any consumer, I feel like a lot more people would be open to it. I just think a lot of people, I would say as a trend I've seen in the last few years, so many more people are more and more interested, whether we're talking about patients or practitioners wanting to get involved in the space too, which is amazing. But I just think overall, I think more people would be interested if they just knew more about it.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And so, it's great that you're doing that education piece, right? And I'm so fascinated by the course that you're doing on cannabis and, teaching pharmacists about the science and the therapeutics behind cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Because of course, here in the UK, we've had our own controversies around cannabis, its usage, it was given approval to be used unlicensed. But people still struggle. Patients who really need, cannabis products are struggling to get them, right? And so, there's a whole kind of, again, that what you were talking about earlier about misinformation and misunderstanding behind the science, that we really do need to educate ourselves in that realm, don't we? And I think also we find that in the alternative space, or even with supplementation, the evidence, it's not gold standard, double-blinded studies that are done on these products. And so I think it can become really quite difficult to kind of see through all the data and say, okay, what is valid and what's not valid, right?
Exactly. And I think that that's a big hurdle for a lot of Western trained practitioners to even consider something like cannabis as an option, because I think a lot of people say, oh, there are no studies, which is not true. It's just there are less studies and there are less clinical studies. Like there are, and then there are some studies. And then like, for example, like a lot of the herbs that have been used in traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, quite a few of those studies are not in English. So that doesn't mean that there aren't studies. It's just studies that we don't have like full access to because we don't understand many languages. But I think that just leaves such an amazing opportunity for the future. I think that there's so much possibility. So we should start learning about it now, because it's going to be more and more important in the future. And then, I mean, talking about like the root cause again, or like the root issue, if we educate the practitioners, that's like the root, and then all the information can come to the patients from there. So yes, I do try to do a lot of the patient consumer education, and I really enjoy that, honestly. But I think that so much of it can come back to just educating our colleagues about it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things I was talking about the other day with a colleague was like, we kind of really need to, as pharmacists, we really need to embrace this concept of being the gatekeeper.
Yes.
Right. And, in that, by that, I mean, really connecting with our patient and understanding our patient, and then saying, okay, these are the options that are available to you with our scientific and holistic mind together, having the knowledge and the understanding of all the different modalities, and then saying, okay, you're co-developing with the patient that plan in terms of their health, right? So, one person may enjoy meditation, someone else may not, right? One person may want a combination of, knowing what their data is, right? And someone else may not. And so, it's that our place, I feel that our place going forward is more and more that gatekeeper. And so it's really important for us to know about all the different modalities and, have that very kind of wide breadth knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that when you were speaking, what it reminded me of is, if we treat every single patient so completely differently, right? And like that's what we should do. But if that became a mainstay in pharmacy practice, I think that there would be so much more satisfaction. There would be so much less burnout. Like people would just like pharmacists overall would add, as this, podcast or as this, show is called, people would be more happy. There would be a lot more happy healthcare professionals if we really did look at each patient differently, because it would make it so much more interesting every day versus just basing it off of the like guidelines put out by whichever authoritative body every few years. And it just like starts becoming so monotonous. And especially the way that healthcare is in the US, I mean, there's like 15 minutes to see a patient if you're a provider. And then for pharmacists, it could be even less depending on where they're working. And so I think if we had more of a focus on the patient, and it seems counterintuitive that, someone else would be kind of the reasoning for us feeling better versus ourselves feeling better, if you know what I mean. But having that interaction and having so much success in those interactions from just having one-on-one relationships with them, I think can be just so amazing for the entire just scope of what it means to be a pharmacist.
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe that, okay, people were watching this might say, if you're a community pharmacist, you might say, but I don't have any time, Kamal. Like, how am I supposed to spend time with my patients? What you're talking about, yeah, maybe it makes sense, but I don't have the time to be able to do that, right? And, I feel that in pharmacy, we really need to embrace the technologies, right? To allow us that time, and also really think about what is the value that you're going to be bringing to patients every single day. And even if it's just one person that you spend a little bit longer with, right, and having a conversation with, that would be really quite transformational. Because
transformational for the pharmacist and the patient. Like everyone benefits from this, which is the best part.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, we've talked about cannabis, we've talked about, your journey, and all these amazing things that you've been doing. And you mentioned at the top of the show that, you've managed to do a lot of this through LinkedIn. And I would love to hear more about that, because I feel, I did a LinkedIn training actually last month. And I really do feel that as healthcare professionals, we are not spending nearly enough time on LinkedIn.
Definitely.
I don't want people watching this going, oh, I don't want another social media platform. I want, but I personally have seen huge benefits, myself from being on LinkedIn, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, LinkedIn is amazing. I call myself the unofficial LinkedIn ambassador because I tell everyone, especially I have the opportunity to speak to a lot of universities and a lot of colleges of pharmacy. And through a lot of those talks, I always weave in something about LinkedIn because they ask, how did you get to where you are now? And so much of that answer is around LinkedIn. I mean, whether it's connecting with amazing people like you, literally like an ocean and multiple time zones away, or if it's even just trying to meet someone who's also in the same metro area who's doing something great. So there's so much possibility with it. I always urge students, at the end of my talks and everything, if you take anything away, just make a LinkedIn and just start posting anything that you think could be beneficial to your network. So that could be, and I talk about this concept between bragging and self-promoting. And I think that pharmacists, just as a baseline statement, are not very good about talking about themselves and all the amazing things that they do. They either look for others to talk about them, or they just kind of keep it to themselves. So I think if we started practicing that earlier, which is why I think with students, it is so amazing to start that early, because you can start, posting oh, I did this presentation and this is what I learned from it, or, oh, look at this article that so-and-so posted, and then this is my opinion as a student. There's so many different ways. And the other thing with that too is the first thing people are going to do when they get your job application or anything is Google you.
Totally.
And LinkedIn is generally one of the top results, if not the top result, if you have one. And so, I mean, I'm not saying spend hours and hours and hours on it every single day, but I like always try to, I like literally put it in my schedule to spend a certain amount of time every week, either posting on LinkedIn or like connecting with people on LinkedIn. And I think also people get like when it comes to social media, people are like, oh, it wastes my time because of the scroll. But like instead of scrolling and making like it a passive experience, spend the time on social media by like making it an active experience by posting something or messaging someone. And so, I mean, part of my journey really was like, I guess I joke about it kind of, but like the amount of amazing people that will help you and they don't even know you. Like the amount of people I have met through LinkedIn and even as a student too, like messaging people and just asking for their advice. That was actually one of the ways that I even decided that, oh, integrative pharmacy is a possibility for a pharmacist, because I just would search because LinkedIn's amazing. First, it's free. And then also it has a search bar. So you can literally put in pharmacist integrative health. You can put in like pharmacist functional medicine, healthcare professional, like so many different things. And it's just a keyword. So that keyword can pick up someone's title. It can pick up someone's description. It can pick up like a previous work experience. It can pick up part of their bio. Like it can pick up anything. And so even just searching something as simple as that, you can see if people are doing that. And if like, even if it's adjacent to what you're interested in, you can click on their profile because you can literally click on anyone's for free for the most part. It's amazing also. And you can scroll down and look at their whole profile and see, oh, so okay, they're at this point now in their career, but what did they do before that? So, okay, they went to pharmacy school, then they got this other certification, then they like went through and they're in the midst of this master's program, and they're doing that all while having all these different roles. And so even before messaging them, you can see this is the kind of like trajectory that they had to get where like this is somewhere I would consider being like potentially in the future, or just something similar to that. And so I think it can be very inspirational, but like even from like removing, I mean, because I think inspirational almost has this connotation of being like so out there. It's not even like that inspirational in terms of like so out there. It's like something that's achievable because other people have done it, and it's free to message them and just say, hey, can I have 10 minutes of your time? I'd love to hear about your path or and anything that you want to hear about, or maybe a specific role that they have or have had. And then another thing that I kind of joke about is like everyone loves talking about themselves. It's their favorite topic. And so if you message someone and they have those 10 minutes, they will say yes. Because they want to share their story. And I, from what I've experienced, people want to share their story, but they also want other people to learn from it and gain from it. And it's like, that was the most amazing thing to me, was like almost instilling this, like, I don't know, I was like so excited to connect with so many different people, because I was like, wow, all these people just like, they owe me nothing at all. We are not even in the same like time zone. Our like primary language is not even the same, but they want to help me because I reached out to them and they're willing to share their information. So yeah, that's why when anyone messages me, I'm like, absolutely, let's set up a time to talk, because I've learned so much from people that I don't know, that I feel like that is something I have to do. Like I have to message people back and say, absolutely, let's set up a time to talk, because I feel like very lucky that has helped me get to where I am today. And I know that that's going to help a lot of other people too. So yeah, it's just like so briefly on like a few little tips that people can use, but there's so many ways to use LinkedIn. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. But I mean, if someone's watching this, they likely have a LinkedIn profile and they see the value in it already, but there's just so many other things to gain from it. And then I guess bringing it back to the question that you had, like with my story in particular, like LinkedIn, some of the roles that I spend the most of my time on right now are either from just cold messages that I send to other people being like, hey, what you're doing looks fascinating. It looks so innovative. Can we chat? And then conversations from there just progressed, and I met other people on the team, and now I'm the director of pharmacy of that organization. Or another one where the CEO actually messaged me. So it was the other way around, but it was the same message, like, hey, would you be willing to hear me out on this? Is something that we're thinking about doing or formulating. And then now I'm the chief scientific officer of that. And so it's like you never know the opportunities that are going to be out there. And I think that so many opportunities, especially nowadays, it's going to be who you know. And people say that all the time, but it's so true. And I can, from my personal experience, say that like the people that I know really have made the most impact on my career. Definitely.
Yeah, there's so much useful information that you have shared in your experience of using LinkedIn, because I too have experienced a very similar, experience of using LinkedIn and getting so many amazing I mean, I met you through LinkedIn, right? I've met so many amazing people through LinkedIn that I call my friends, really, because we've connected on we share similar values, and I know that those connections are going to result in so many incredible collaborations along the way. And that's the beauty of connecting with someone. You have no idea who that person knows, right? You have no idea what that connection is going to lead to. And I totally agree with you. Reach out to people, and I tell people to do that all the time. Like often when pharmacists come and speak to me about their careers and they're like, I want to move from here to here, I'll say to them, well, have you actually spoken to somebody in that field? And they're like, no, why would I? And I was like, well, no, find someone in that field and just message them. Get on the phone, speak to them. They will be more than happy to help you.
And also, like with messaging people, you have nothing to lose. Either people will respond and be like, oh my gosh, yes, I cannot wait to talk to you. Or they'll not respond because they're too busy or uninterested. But like I've never once from the, I don't know how many 100 messages I've sent, honestly, I've never received a negative message back, ever. The most negative I've received is that it says seen and then they didn't respond. Like I've never received anything negative. So that's what I tell students also, is like you have nothing to lose if you just message them. If anything, it's good practice for you, and you can help like fine tuning your message and exactly what you want to say to really get their attention. So
thank you so much, Swati. I mean, Usha's saying hi. Usha, it's nice to see you. We've got someone else from Facebook who's joined us. Thank you so much for your comment on saying it's very inspirational. I'm so glad that you're enjoying this conversation. Lakshmi, I take it she's related to you. Great job, Swati, with this interview. Bless. You know what? Thank you so much. I didn't think we would end up talking about LinkedIn, but you know what? I'm so glad we did in the end, because again, it's showcasing, it's showing people the possibilities, right, of what we can do. And I'm so keen on helping pharmacists to reinvent their careers. And that's going to look different for every single one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
You've proven that, through everything that you are doing, which I just think is phenomenal. Like in the integrative pharmacy space, we need more Swathis, really. Like honestly, like it's amazing, and I feel really, really privileged to have been able to connect with you, because I think there's just so much collaboration and synergy that's going to come out of our connection. And so thank you so much.
Absolutely. And just stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone can pay off so much. So and there's so many good quotes about this, and of course none come to mind at the current moment, but there are so many good ones about like nothing amazing was achieved within staying in your comfort zone or being comfortable and that kind of a thing. So if sending that first message is uncomfortable, that's probably a good sign. So you should
Oh
probably
my God. Yes. That is a conversation for another day.
Yes.
Because us as pharmacists, we are terrible at that. Like we are, I'm going to call it out. We are pretty bad, at really leaning into the fear, aren't we? Thank you so much, Swathi. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And thank you guys, every single one of you, for listening in. Thank you, Lindsay, for your really kind comment. Look at these happy healthcare professionals, she's saying. So sweet. Thank you so much. Bye, Swathi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys for listening into today's show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really, really appreciate every single one of you guys who watch this show every single week. I absolutely love, having these conversations. And please do drop me any comments or questions. If there's somebody that you would like to see on this show, then message me and let me know, because I would love to be able to bring them on. And if you want to stay in touch with me as well, I will drop the link to my emailing list, and you'll get to learn about new shows that are coming up, and just hear career change stories and hear tips about how you can start to reinvent your career. So do join my mailing list as well. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. So take care, have a great week, and I will see you next week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock GMT time. Happy Healthcare Professionals Live. Take care all. Bye.